The Springfield ECHELON 4.0 comp has the largest integrated comp on the market, but it costs over $700. So we've got to ask that question. Is it worth your hard-earned money, or is it just overhyped BS? And I do own the full-size Echelon with over 1,500 rounds through it, and I wanted to purchase the Echelon 4.0 compact to compare directly against it and see which one I preferred. So by the end of this video, you will know, does the comp actually help tame the recoil, how the 4.0 compact stacks up against the full-size version, and most importantly, is it worth spending your hard-earned money, or should you just buy something else? Now, right off the bat, I need to let you know that this video is purely for educational purposes. The purpose of this video is just to share my honest thoughts with you about a product that I purchased. And in this case, everything has been cleared before filming this video. Everything was filmed in a safe and controlled environment with no live ammunition, and the film that you see at the range was done in a controlled and safe environment. Now, the most important question that we all want to know is, does the comp actually work? And here's my brutally honest answer. Yes, it works incredibly well. So well, in fact, that my brother and I both agreed that the 4.0 compact version actually shot better than my full size, and the 4.5 inch actually has a heavier guide rod and a lighter recoil spring. I'll unpack that more here in a minute, but believe me when I say that the Echelon comp is a slam dunk. Many other companies have comped carried options, but in my experience, this is by far and away the most effective option that I have tried. Compared to the MC9 Prime, the Smith & Wesson Performance Center, and the Hellcat Pro, the Echelon 4.0 felt more controlled in how it shoots. Of course, having an integrated comp comes with its downsides, and we'll talk more about that here in a minute, but overall, this gun is genuinely impressive. As I already mentioned, I own the full-size version and have had it for several months, and basically just turned it into a bit of a fun range toy. I swapped out most of the internal parts in an attempt to just get it to run as fast as possible. And I was just blown away that the 4.0 comp felt softer to shoot and was more enjoyable to shoot than my full size right out of the box. And honestly, I think that could be for a few reasons. Number one, the compensator actually works. It's a massive chunk port at the front of the barrel. It is cut sideways, and in this case, it allows gases to go up and to the side. This allows for a very controlled slide movement where the slide literally just racks right back and forth. Second, this gun also has a smaller barrel and smaller slide, which means less reciprocating mass. In this footage, it is a bit tough to see, but the 4.0 comp consistently returns to zero faster than the full size, and the full size has more noticeable muzzle dip. This could be due to the flashlight, changes in the recoil spring, etc. But the point being how well the 4.0 comp actually compares to the full size. Lastly, and I can't emphasize this enough, is just how fun and enjoyable this gun was to shoot. I genuinely mean it when I say that this gun was the highlight of my brother and I's day when we were out on the range. It was just fun. And honestly, how many of us are looking for that experience where we find a gun that is just super fun, we feel confident with it at the range, and because of that, it translates to us wanting to carry it more every single day. Now, in terms of negatives with the port, there is no denying it. There is a massive difference in sound comparison to the full size and the comped version. Enough to the point where when shooting the 4.0 comp, I added over-ear pro on top of my in-ears that I already had on. Which, frankly speaking, means in a self-defense situation, there is 100% a viable chance that if you use that firearm in an enclosed space, you could permanently damage your hearing. And the barreling does end right before the compensator, which means you're not going to get pieces of shrapnel shooting up out of the comp. If you're finding this video helpful, please consider subscribing. This is still a relatively new channel, and I would love to get to around 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year. Plus, if you subscribe, it is a free way that you can help encourage the algorithm to push these videos to other people who may enjoy them as well. Outside of how great the comp is, the Echelon is a wildly underrated pistol. If you're not familiar with the Echelon, it was created by HS Product and then it's imported by Springfield Armory, much like their Hellcat and the Hellcat Pro. The Echelon does feature a 3-slot Picatinny rail, which means you can mount a ton of different flashlight options to it. In this case, I have the Olight PLX, which is a really affordable and awesome flashlight for the price with a ton of different brightness settings. Now continuing on to the frame, Springfield does have their compact and then the full-size version. In this case, the 4.0 compact features a shorter dust cover and then a shorter barrel and slide. Primarily designed around a similar size as something like a Glock 19 or other compact style firearms. The frame also does features Springfield's adaptive grip texture, which is a really awesome texture. In this case, when you really grip into the pistol, you get a strong and confident purchase, but it doesn't feel abrasive. It doesn't rub up against your skin and feel uncomfortable when you do carry all day, every day. Now the gun does feature a slight magwell, but in this case, I do wish it was a bit more aggressive. My pinky does hang over just a little bit, and I'm kind of worried that I'm gonna slam a magazine and catch my skin on my pinky, which I don't think would feel very good. The Echelon also gives you 3 magazines. In this case, you get a 15 rounder, you get an extra 15 rounder, and then a 15 rounder with the 3-round base plate extension. And you get the option to swap out one of the existing 15 rounders to another 18 round with a base plate. One thing that I also do really like about the Echelon in this case is the slide serrations. Not only are they really deep and aggressive, but they also have these ledges right here in the front and in the back, which makes it very easy to press check or rack your slide. Now, one complaint I do have about Springfield Armory is that it does feel like out of all of their pistols that I've owned, between the Hellcat Pro, the full-size Echelon, and now this one, that their slides and their barrels do tend to wear more quickly in terms of initial surface wear than other companies I've used. Definitely not a functional concern. They are all super reliable, but it's a cosmetic one. The slide also features their variable interface system, which allows you to direct mount up to 30 different red dots directly to the slide. In this case, meaning you don't need an optics plate, and I absolutely love this, and I'm super excited more companies are starting to do this. Plus, they have Springfield's signature U sight with a luminescent front. Now, in terms of the red dot, I do have the CVLIFE WildHawke mounted on there. I was testing it out for a review, and when I took it to the range, I did notice a lot of issues with the battery. It wouldn't hold within the side casing, and because of that, I would lose the dot constantly. It would turn on and off, and in this case, it's a decent, affordable option, but I do have the Vortex Defender ST enclosed on the way. And in my opinion, that is a more serious duty style dot that I would actually trust carrying every single day. And then lastly, Springfield does have their COG system, which means that you have the one serialized part, and then you can interchange the slide, the barrel, the frame to different versions and keep the one same gun without having to purchase a new one. Lastly, the Echelon features their central operating group, or their COG, which in my opinion is a bit of a double-edged sword, but we'll talk about that here very shortly. And lastly, even though I just said lastly, the trigger on the Echelon is solid. It's definitely a light trigger that breaks around 5 to 5.5 pounds with a decent flat-faced trigger. It is not the best trigger that's out there on the market, but it is definitely better than their Hellcat series. And I personally would put it right in line with something like the Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 style triggers. It's not as great as my Walthers or my Canics, but with some of the improvements that I made on the full size, it can get pretty dang close. If you've made it this far into the video, please subscribe to the channel. I've got more Echelon content coming shortly. And now let's talk about what I think some of the cons of the system are. If you watch the original review of the Echelon, you will know that the beaver tail really created a lot of discomfort on the knuckle, on my dominant hand's thumb. And in this case, it required me to modify the way that I grip the pistol to shoot it properly. And I am happy to say that with the compact version and the large backstrap, this is not an issue whatsoever. The beaver tail on the Echelon is still very sharp, but for whatever reason on the compact, it just doesn't bother me like it did on the full size. And my biggest gripe with the Echelon right now is really just their COG system. Although it is a spectacular system, and I am very happy with both of my Echelons, there is just not enough options to really make it a modular platform, and the options that are available are just too expensive. However, I think my point still stands that I do think Springfield and other manufacturers really need to play into the versatility of this platform if we are going to take full advantage of that cog system. So what are my honest thoughts, and should you buy the Echelon? Of course, I don't know you, I don't know your needs, but I do know for me personally, I think the Echelon is a fantastic value. It is a super durable pistol, and it brings a lot of features to the table. Personally, I do think that the 4.0 compact comp version is actually better and more enjoyable to shoot than the full-size version. However, I would find myself using them in different applications. I still think the 4.5-inch full-frame version is going to be more of a fun range toy, with the compact version going to be my everyday carry. In terms of the price, you can typically find the comp version for around $700, which is definitely an expensive pistol, but given its performance compared to other options, I think it's a really solid deal. Plus, I think the Echelon is a platform you can trust with your life. I've put over 1,500 rounds between the full size and now this comp version, probably closer to 2,000 rounds through it. And I've had no issues in terms of reliability or durability with either of these pistols. I hope that we see more from Springfield with their cog system, and I know they just released their FC frame, which gives you the full-size frame, but the compact dust cover, and I will probably pick those up once they come back in stock. So with that said, join the team, let's get to 10,000 subscribers, and watch this next video right here on a full-fledged Echelon review.